Hi, it's T. Michelle Birdsong, Eve, Mother of the Earth, Daughter of the Sun. Okay, I'll get right to the video. The Muslim general Mabio, who led Muslim cavalry to fight against the Japanese in the Second Sino-Japanese War, fought in the Battle of Peking against a foreign eight-nation alliance which included the Japanese. Who brought Islam in China? In China, or to something, or for China. For China's Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and mainland China. So, you see, for China. Okay. See, puns are not harmless because words matter, sounds matter. This is an audible live stream going on the earth. So, who brought Islam in China? According to the historical accounts of Chinese Muslims, Islam was first brought to China by Vaggas, W-A-G-G-A-S, who came to China. I'll show you his whole name. This is his whole name. Okay, this name here. Okay? He came to China for the third time at the head of an embassy sent by Uthman, the Third Caliphate, in 651, less than 20 years after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad, you should know, is being as Dr. Jordan Peterson. It is said that Allah, the negative power, dictated the Quran to Angel Gabriel, who is Gurinder Singh Dhillon, was Angel Gabriel. Jesus Christ. He was reborn as a royal Japanese samurai soldier. Okay, now who won the first Sino-Japanese War? From July 25th, 1894 to April 17, 1895, 8 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. Result, Japanese victory. Korean Peninsula transferred to Japanese sphere of influence. The Treaty of Shimonoseki. Decoded. I decoded it up here, and then I wrote it out here so I could read it quickly. She, Eve, do his money. Unpleasure of nose, K-N-O-W-S. Kin now order, world solve. Eve, Earth first mother. $90 septillion she's owed. See, because it says she's due his money, his being the son. And the kin, Gurinder Singh, is king. Okay, so that was his order. Over here we got son, order, will, victory to Eve, Earth's first mother, and her victory is $90 septillion. I omitted this before, so it didn't make any sense. Okay, let's move right along. I wrote this out so you can see it clearly. Like I said, sounds matter. Barack Hussein Obama was named after a Muslim saint. Obama, decoded. O for order, B for Bachelor of Arts, M, Masters, Masters of Art, an MA. Okay. What else? Obama, Japan, a town that arose in the year 700. Obama, Japan, happened in 1945. President Harry S. Truman bombed 150,000 people to save 70 million Japanese and American lives. Every Japanese man, woman, and child had been trained to fight to the death rather than angel Lucifer surrender. World War II hero Harry Truman now sing birdsong Prince of the Universe. Supreme Commander Allied Forces was also a hero. General, later President Dwight Wright Fight David Eisenhower, now Gurinder Singh Dillon. Marshal Matt Dillon. Another hero for World War II was the early warning they got from Einstein, who's now Michelle Birdsong. Okay, be patient. It'll make more sense as I go along. The current order, Obama's order, bomb us. Us is Adam and Eve. The bomb, explode, expose. Michael Bublé is Adam. Michelle Birdsong is Eve. So that's the order of that name, Obama's. The Obamas live down the street from the White House, you see. Another U.S. also means Obama, United States. Destroy, Barack Hussein, insane, beard, that's Michelle Obama is his beard, and party is a demon rat's party, have almost destroyed America as we know her. H for heaven, E for energy, R for her, Eve, first Earth Mother. Okay, so you see the message in the name Obama, the Muslim saint, declaring war on Japan and declaring war on the United States. Now I should say here that the Radhaswami saints, the gurus that had the Dera RSSB, Radhaswami Satsang Bias, the current head is Gurinder Singh Dillon. Jesus Christ gave his disciples a mantra that countered this order, Obama's. So that's why no bomb has bombed the United States, because his disciples were ordered to say these words every time they weren't concentrating on something. Every chance they got, say them over and over, and that kept the bomb from bombing us. Okay? That's pretty incredible that this man who was president of the United States for 8 years, his name was an order for us to be bombed. And that's why he gave the money, I guess, to Iran to make a bomb. Okay, now, did Japanese apologize for Nanking? November 13, 2013. Former Japanese Prime Minister Hatayama Yukio offered personal apology for Japan's wartime crimes, especially the Nanking Massacre. Okay, let's see what these words come out to be. That's his name. H for heaven, at, T for true order. I, a mother. I, you, kin order. Kin is a relative, a kinfolk order. The grief of the mother, the grief of the wife could be the grief of a sister, grief of a grandmother, could be the grief of an aunt. That's the kin, the order of the kin in a war. See, they could cause these people to feel grief. So he offered an apology. As a Japanese citizen, I feel that it's my duty to apologize for even just one Chinese civilian killed brutally by Japanese soldiers, and that such action. And then it discontinued. So I don't know what came next. But he did apologize. So during World War II, there were no Japanese civilians because every man, woman, and child had been trained for combat. Even children were taught to stab the enemy soldiers with forks. Each Japanese was instructed not to surrender, but to fight as long as they had breath in their body. The enemy's breath in their body. General Eisenhower knew this about the Japanese psyche, as he himself had been a royal Japanese samurai soldier. Now, Gurinder Singh was the projection of General Eisenhower, and he also had been a samurai soldier, royal Japanese samurai soldier. Okay, so he understood the psyche of the Japanese people, and he knew they weren't kidding. They really would all die before they would surrender. They also had fought with the belief that one must at all costs keep fighting. Fight in life, somebody's life, either the opponent or the Japaneses. Now, President Harry S. Truman understood dying rather than being taken prisoner. Truman had been King Saul, whose 3 sons died while fighting at the Battle of Mount Gilboa. He himself fell on his own sword rather than be taken prisoner. So, being as President Truman, he understood that all the Japanese people would die, 70 million of them, I think, rather than lose face. So he ended the fighting by ordering the atomic bomb dropped, which showed the Japanese generals, "We can wipe out your civilization with atomic bombs in a day. Is it worth it?" The generals got the message. They ordered their people to join them in surrendering. T. Michelle Minnow, at 4 years old, was ashamed to be alive since her mother, her God, had tried to kill her, to abort her, had wanted her dead. Minnow had too much honor to keep living, while God wanted her dead. So she killed herself by becoming her mother, by getting on her mother's wavelength, on her mother's train of thought, by following in her mother's footsteps. She presumed her mother knew best. She became her mother. She became her best by becoming her mother. Her mother had bested her. She established herself as the best to her daughter, so she would obey her and be as her best would have done. Now, I'm not sure she was conscious of all this, but this is how it turned out. As she got older, her mother told her she had to be the best. It didn't matter at what. If she chose to be a ditch digger, she had to be the best ditch digger. Okay, remember, she'd been psyched up to obey her, so whatever the mother said is what she did. Though she had been crippled, robbed of self-esteem and self-confidence, Minnow knew she was T. Michelle Birdsong. she knew she'd have to find a way to be the best at something. Because she did not fit into her family, she wasn't wanted. She decided when she grew up she would have her own family, but she would do the opposite of what her mother had done with her. Her mother never took her anywhere that she could recall, so she took her children all over Manhattan where they lived. She had very little money, so she took them to events and places that didn't cost money, to the story time and the several libraries, Queens Library, Jefferson Market Library, and Greenwich Village, to free wholesome movies they showed in the library, to the children's section of the Montgomery County Library in Clarksville, Tennessee. She took them after school to Washington Square Park in Manhattan, and she let them play for hours until they were ready to go home. At other times, she took them to Tompkins Square Park in the East Village of Manhattan, where her friend Patsy Parker, a cook for Jesuit priests and a dancer, gave her children singing robin bird song, movement, and music lessons in the park. They went uptown, T. Michelle Birdsong and her children, to Central Park and the Museum of Natural History. They went to the Hayden Planetarium. After a spiritual meeting, she's a disciple of spiritual teacher Gurinder Singh Dillon, Jesus Christ, who is being as Jesus Christ. After their meeting of his disciples, they would get a slice of pizza. If it was winter, they'd go sledding down the hills in Central Park. If it was summer, they'd go by subway to Brighton Beach and Coney Island to enjoy the beach and the amusement park. Her son Singh used to ride the mounds in Washington Square Park on his bicycle, and he also did wheelies, or wheelies, however they call that, wheelies. Wheelies. T. Michelle's husband, Michael John Spear, St. Anthony, and Singh would make rockets and go to the nearby vacant lot and set the rockets to soar in the atmosphere. These were small rockets, obviously. He also bought Singh a skateboard. Singh would do all kinds of stunts with his skateboard. She did not neglect their emotional life either. There were daily discussions. What are you feeling? Which, after 30 years, has morphed into a workable, easy, efficient therapy called Talk and Share. She just attempted to set it up on Facebook, a Talk and Share community open to the public, where friends and family and neighbors, the whole world is your neighbor, taught Jesus Christ, Guru Charan Singh, now Gurinder Singh. They simply, in doing Talk and Share, mirror the one being helped by acknowledging their feeling, their experience. T. Michelle bought a bicycle and learned. She's still taking the kids all over Manhattan. Learned to ride it and put a child seat on the back of it. Robin, as a toddler, would ride on the back of the bicycle, and T. Michelle and Singh would bike to West 10th Street in the Village Community School to satsang, which is a meeting of the Guru, Jesus Christ's, the Buddhist disciples. They played board games like Monopoly, because she's being different from her mother. Remember, she's interacting with her kids. Robin had a Barbie doll world. She had a Barbie townhouse with a Barbie and Ken doll. She had a car and a pool, Barbie pool. Robin would amuse herself for hours making believe. She had friends, Michael and Catherine. They were white neighbors. Gary Burton, the famous jazz vibraharpist, niece and nephew. Robin would tutor the girl, Catherine, in reading, and they would put on shows for us.